Did you hit the go live button on Wirecast?
No.
That's all right. The video will play again. Hit the Wirecast button.
Not recording yet. Okay, that was the run through. Okay. Starting stream in 3.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Halftime here on the Brew Sports Network. It is a Monday edition of the program. I am Baxter Colburn.
And I'm Tanner Burke.
Tanner freaking Burke.
It's a Monday.
Moody Monday.
You know, Monday comes but once a week, Baxter.
That's what I've heard. It's not usually before Tuesday, though, and occasionally before a Thursday.
Not after a Saturday unless proceeding after a Sunday.
Right, as long as the moon is half filled and the lake and the Dow Jones are the same, I don't know.
The
Whatever.
glass is always half empty.
Depends on who you are. Unless you're LeVar Ball and your high school son's team coach just got fired.
But he had nothing to do with it.
Absolutely nothing.
Not a
It's the most
single
Donald
thing.
Trump thing I've ever heard. I had nothing to do with it.
I had nothing.
He just got
Absolutely
fired.
nothing to do
I think
with
he's a
it.
great man.
I play golf with him all the time. We're golf
Yes,
buddies.
We're great friends. It's amazing. My God. All right, it's a Monday edition of the program. We are going to go off the rails in the second half of the show. We are going to do some trivia today. This Trivia Monday is kind of what we've decided. And we're not getting pied, thankfully.
Not today.
But we are going to get some yield duct tape on the arm.
For those of you who are not aware, Baxter and I both have very hairy arms, so we will be ripping
Should we demonstrate?
tape off. No. We will be ripping tape off our arms, and presumably
For every wrong answer.
for every wrong answer, we will take some hair off of our arms.
Took like 2 off there. But anyway, either way, so that's going to be our second half of the show. Make sure you swing around for that. We are going to do it separately from this stream because we actually are going to pretend to talk about sports for a little while and see what comes out. We need to talk about the draft. We need to talk with Ryan Solomon, one of our football correspondents as well, too, one of the fan-sided writers about the Cincinnati Bengals as well, too. So we'll get to him a little bit. You got to talk about Joe Mixon, got to talk about domestic violence, got to talk about the draft.
Yes.
All kinds of great things. But, of course, it is Moody Monday. We talk about some of the things that we are moody about. Producer David's here today as well, too, so it is always a good day. Anytime David's in the studio, I feel like it's always a fun time.
It is.
We do want to remind you we are live streaming on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Spreaker.com as well, too. So 2 ways to watch, 1 way to listen, subscribe, like, share, tell your friends, Brew Sports, LeVar Ball, Donald Trump. There you go.
Don't forget, we love when you are a part of the conversation.
Right.
That's what
Hit
makes
us up.
so special.
Get them comments at us.
Throw us some comments if you ever want to see us do something stupid. You know, we're all about that life. So
I mean, this isn't like one of those like stupid things though, where like it's not a Periscope broadcast where people are like, take your shirt off.
yeah, well,
Take your shirt off. Like we're not like stupid,
suggestions
like,
would be nice.
Hey, come on, people, don't.
I'm
be
not
stupid.
saying on a certain day, if it was the right day,
right.
you told me to take my shirt off, there's a good chance it might happen.
Unfortunately, Luis says that we are savages apparently, and he also is sad he missed the morning show. He was hungover. Well, Luis, if you watched the Morning Brew on Friday, we gave you hangover tips, so maybe you should apply some of those. Apparently, also
Did you really?
We did. Jamie and I talked about different tips to cure hangovers, but we talked this morning about how McDonald's is getting rid of the high C drink.
Excuse me?
It is. They
What?
are. And apparently, some people use that as a good hangover.
I'm actually going to have to go buy juice boxes again now?
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Grown-ass man in line trying to buy high C juice boxes with no wedding ring or no children in tow.
Yeah, well.
Good luck with that. Don't be
hanging out
try
with
not to be
keyboard
try not
elves.
to be labeled as like a druggie or a weed smoker.
I'm just in line with a box of Pop-Tarts and
Twinkies and high C. And
Twinkies and a case of high C. A case.
Case.
It's like 32
Where do you go?
32 high C boxes. I don't know.
Luis says he was at his girlfriend's birthday party, so you got to understand why he got drunk. I understand that, Luis, and I'm sure everybody was happy with the end result in the evening. I'm sure. Trevor says, "What's up, guys? What's with the insanity? What insanity, Trevor? This is a daily basis for us. I don't understand when people are like, "What is this insanity? What are we doing? What do we do differently that makes people think it's not insanity?" That's what we do. Are you talking about the duct tape?
I don't know.
You all right?
Yeah.
You need a moment? You need to retire? You good?
Can I? Can I retire right now?
You can.
Get
I mean,
a pension?
You're not nearly as successful as Paul Pierce has been with his career, though. If you haven't heard, Paul Pierce is retiring, hanging it up after 10 All-Star appearances, an NBA championship with the Boston Celtics, and the Utah Jazz kicking the Clippers out of the playoffs in 7 games, which I'm still very surprised about personally. And I'm sure Mitch and Jimmy will have a lot to say about that on Double Dribble tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. Central Time. But I'm still a little surprised, honestly, about that. But Paul Pierce hanging up the sneakers, not the cleats, the sneakers, the sneaks. That man gave his heart and soul to the NBA world, and I think that he is clearly a first-ballot Hall of Famer come that time for the NBA Hall of Fame, and I think he's one of the best to play the game, honestly.
He's definitely a respected.
At his position.
Right.
I don't want people to get too hyped up and over freaking out about that.
Of course, he's very respected across the league, and there's no doubting that. So,
I agree.
I do want to talk about apparently Draymond Green rejects the Charles Barkley comparison. He says, "Hell no."
I would never want to be compared to Charles Barkley. That just seems like
he's a Hall of Famer. What are you
so
talking about?
What? He's terrible. That's one person I don't want to be compared to. Honestly, if there's one person I would be mad about, I'd be like, no, don't call me Charles Barkley. He didn't do anything. He's just big and tubby and doesn't do shit.
He hangs out,
I get really upset about Charles Barkley.
He hangs out with Spike Lee. That's cool.
Yeah, because Spike Lee probably they're paying Spike to hang out with Charles.
Yeah, you're right. So they're paying Spike Lee to be Charles Barkley's friend?
Correct.
Okay. Understandable.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel the situation, at least.
Are you moody about anything?
Being able to breathe.
You all right? All right, I'll get to mine. First, let me just talk about the reason why I'm moody. Baxter and I both suffered upper body injuries over the weekend.
Not going to be able to go for the hockey game this weekend.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Baxter injured his finger fixing a children's toy.
Yeah, well, not fixing, assembling a toy for Beckham.
For ages 3 and up.
Ages 3 and up, and I shredded my pinky, bruised it, probably going to be out for at least 10 to 12 days.
Day to day?
Day to day at the most. I mean, my fantasy value has hit an all-time low because, my left hand is very important to broadcasting, so I'm going to be very, very day to day. It's, who knows?
It's a shame.
Don't know what's going on.
They just have to cancel the week.
I might as well. So, you got this? Can I go?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Right. I injured myself bowling yesterday. If there was ever a sport where you didn't think you could injure yourself in, it was bowling. And apparently I was being a little bit aggressive, and I cracked the nail on my pinky finger. And I cracked it in a way where it went down
the
actual middle, so the top half of my fingernail is still attached to my finger, so I can't fix it. I just have to let it keep growing. How much does that suck?
I think we should just amputate from the waist down.
It's a career-ending injury.
It is. You're done. You washed up.
I can't type with my pinky? Mm-hmm. How am I supposed to type with 9 fingers? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. People do it with less, so I would tell you to man up, honestly.
I did paint yesterday, though.
You did?
Turns out I can paint.
I should
have brought it in.
Is male painting considered like a non-manly thing to do? I don't
after
know.
After you injure your pinky finger bowling?
I guess I don't know.
Maybe I should check my manhood.
That's what I'm wondering. Does the man card get revoked for painting?
It turned out, nice. Keep in mind, though, I'll bring it in tomorrow, but keep in mind, I needed to paint it a certain way so that my girlfriend could hang it on the wall. She actually gave me things to paint. She's like, I want you to do this or this or this. And I was like, okay. And I thought I was done. It was very abstract. And she's like, no, you need to put flowers on it. And I was
my God.
So
I think she just keeps pushing you to see what she can get away with.
She wanted to go with the canvas you buy at like a TJ Maxx or a Target. Not an original Burke. You know what I mean? So, but it was fun.
Luis said he used to paint his pinky back when he used to play with his band back in high school. I don't know where to go from there.
I used to paint one thumbnail and one toenail, my big toe, with a clear. This was any time I was in Florida. I'd paint it with a clear nail polish that would turn bright hot pink in the sun. So I'd be at the water park and walk around with one pink toe and one pink thumb.
That's amazing. You would be that guy. That is phenomenal. Yeah, Jeff wants to know if that was paint by numbers.
Trevor said the same thing.
Trevor
said the same thing. It was not. It was actually.
We're going to have to check the tape, honestly. I don't know if I believe the fact that that turned out the way it did.
I had not painted. I used to be into drawing and stuff when I was in middle school, and I had not really painted anything seriously since then. And I honestly, the hardest thing to get past was the fact that you need to just like go outside of the lines, like step outside your own comfort zone and just do
paint
something.
outside the lines.
Yeah, so I had like an image that I was trying to mimic, and then I got to the point where I was like, okay, screw it. It's never going to look like
Not
this.
gonna happen.
And then I started doing my own thing, and it turned out pretty well. So
Well, good. I'm proud of you.
You're proud of me?
I'm proud of you. Josh says we painted the happy little clouds.
The happy little clouds.
The happy little Bob Ross clouds.
Well, that's what sparked it. I was bowling yesterday, and I come
Who
home,
knew?
and my girlfriend was watching Bob Ross, and she's just fuming, and I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, oh, I've been watching Bob Ross for the last 5 hours, and I don't have the frickin' clear paint. And I'm like, well, she's like,
You could have gone to buy it.
She's like, we're going to Walmart. And I'm like, you want to go to Walmart now? It's 10 o'clock at night. She's like, fine, we'll just paint without it. I'm like, you want to paint? So I painted. So thanks, Bob Ross.
Stupid Bob Ross.
He's such a good dude. He's a cool guy.
Happy little clouds.
Just happy.
I bet you he
He's
was a
happy
cokehead.
man. He was something.
You had to have been on something.
was
You're not.
something.
You know, it's impossible to be that happy and have that good of hair and not be
Have
tripped
that
in on
good of
something. Something was a little amiss. I feel
I wonder
like.
how much an original Bob Ross goes for. I'm gonna look into that.
Somebody get an intern on that.
I'm gonna look into
Original
that.
Bob Ross. While you do that, let's bring on Ryan Salmon, one of our NFL correspondents on the program. So the NFL draft took place over the weekend. Teams like the Bills and the Packers had very different results. The Cleveland Browns definitely going above and beyond the call of duty to bring in players that they needed. And it was one of those things that a lot of people, I think, were very excited about. There was some ups, some downs. Mitchell Trubisky found himself in Chi-Town, and ultimately nothing makes sense. But the one player that's been drawing a lot of controversy has been the running back Joe Mixon out of the University of Oklahoma. Ryan not only is an NFL correspondent for us, but he also is a writer for one of the fan-sided Cincinnati Bengals websites. Ryan, of course, a very good day to you, sir. How are you today?
Not bad. How are you guys doing?
Not too bad,
Doing all
Ryan.
right.
It's
Aside from a couple injuries.
we both have some upper body injuries right now, Ryan. Did you escape your weekend unscathed by any brutal slashing or brutality of disastrousness?
I did, yeah. Just by staying inside and not doing anything seemed to do the trick. But Tanner, you have to pull a Ronnie a lot and just amputate that finger.
I think I have to. Why couldn't I have injured my finger like a cool way, like playing with fireworks, like
JPP?
Yeah, Jason. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Good old JP.
Oh my God.
Do you have to spell it? You have to say the name to think I actually got it right or not?
No,
Yeah, like Jason Pierre. Okay, yeah. Like I saw you like stop halfway through Paul. Like, oh yeah, he was right.
You got it. Okay.
Like JPP.
Yeah.
Anyway, Joe Mixon, not JPP, was a topic of a lot of conversation through the NFL draft. Who was going to draft him? What would the franchise look like that would do it? Obviously, Cincinnati pulls the trigger. A very franchise that's used to the troubled past of certain players. In recent history and in general. What does this move mean for the Bengals organization, Ryan? As you mentioned earlier, you are one of the people that help cover the Bengals for Fansided.com. What does this do for the franchise's image? What does this do for Joe Mixon's career? Is he a possible starter behind Jeremy Hill and Giovanni Bernard as well?
Well, let's start with the actual the player himself and not talk about the off-the-field stuff right away. Joe Mixon is a guy that a lot of people compared to an Adrian Peterson-style runner, and that's not just because of the abuse charges or the Oklahoma factor. He's a powerful runner who can give the Bengals a lot of stuff in the backfield that they don't really have already. Jeremy Hill was supposed to be that guy, but he hasn't lived up to expectations. And then, of course, Bernard is more of a catch the ball out of the backfield, third down back kind of guy. So a lot of people around the Bengals organization weren't really pleased with their running back situation, so they went and tried to amend it. But if you do look at the charges, this is really more of the same for the Bengals. I mean, they have Pac-Man Jones, they have Montez Perfect, who people say is a dirty player, and by the evidence on the tape, that would have to be correct. So they're really not helping themselves from a PR standpoint here.
In regards to the Bengals' needs and biggest holes, I mean, is the running back position, was that something of need for the Bengals organization? I know they do a little bit of running back by committee, but can their draft get them over this hump of the inevitable falling out in the first round of Andy Dalton? I know for the longest time, I mean, Andy Dalton's a great quarterback, but there's still those questions. Is this something that we think can help them get over that hump as a football organization?
It certainly might, because if you look at the past, 5 seasons for the Bengals, they always had a pretty good defense and an average offense. Just 2 years ago, they were ranked in the top 5 for overall defense. But what happened is they got rid of Mohamed Sanu and Marvin Jones last year, so the cupboard was kind of bare for what Andy Dalton could do on offense. And then combine that with the injury to Giovanni Bernard, they really wanted to stock up this year and get him some help. So they drafted John Ross, not Bob Ross, in the first round, as they wanted to say. And he's also another kind of gamble player who he's had some injuries. He was the fastest player running a 4.2 through 40. So they're really pulling the trigger on some gamble players here. And if they both work out, they could definitely get over the hump and have some real weapons on offense. But there's also the possibility that both picks could just crash and burn. I mean, it was kind of a reach to draft John Ross in the first round, and maybe they were hoping to get Mike Williams or maybe even Corey Davis, but they really reached there. And then the Mixon pick, of course, we don't know how that's going to shake out. If he can keep himself out of trouble, then he might be a great pick for them. We'll just have to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, I like the idea of drafting John Ross.
I like John Ross.
It is, but you're right though. It is a question mark because I mean, are we only drafting him because of his 40-yard dash time? Is that what it is? I mean,
his electric play ability. That's what they're drafting.
It reminds me a lot of like Jabril Peppers in the sense that we don't really know exactly what we're going to get from this guy. He could be a project, but he has potential to be great. So, I mean, you look at the guys who have done this in the past, like Tim Tebow, who came out and you're like, oh, this guy's just an athletic freak, but he's a project.
Right.
And it doesn't pan out, and now he's playing baseball. So
I think John Ross athletically is a little bit higher of a caliber than Tim Tebow is. I think it's easier to be an athletic wide receiver than it is to be an athletic quarterback. There's so much pressure that's placed on you as a quarterback that I think from a receiver perspective, you can get away with a lot more with a lack of hands.
You can
or
be
whatever.
the third or the fourth guy on the roster.
But if you've got the
and
athletic
still be successful.
ability to be incredibly fast and also be just a dynamic playmaker on numerous positions, I think people are going to be more excited about that than a quarterback that can't complete a pass.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills had a guy in Marquise Goodwin who was just abnormally fast, but he was only good for the deep post route. I mean, there's nothing really.
And it's good to have those
that.
guys on your team at times.
It stretches the field, but
you're not throwing it deep every play. This isn't backyard football.
It's basically just a specialty player.
Exactly.
And when you put him on the field,
not
you know
realistic.
exactly what he's going to do. So
exactly, that's
we'll
not
see.
a realistic.
I like
thing,
the idea
honestly.
of John Ross.
I agree with you on that one, Ryan. Looking also across the board here domestically in the United States, in Wisconsin. That's this place we live in. We also
Monday.
We also do live in the
hasn't
United
figured it
States.
out.
T.J. Watt was a name of a lot of people were on the minds. Packers traded out of the first round. Everybody was hoping the Packers were going to take him. Steelers take Watt with this next pick right afterwards. I went on record to say the Packer fans need to shut up because I'm getting a little tired of all the fans being like, we need T.J. Watt. If he played for Virginia Tech, if he played for Penn State, if he played for University of who gives a damn, we wouldn't care about T.J. frickin' Watt.
This is true. And I think a lot of it, though, it happened. I mean, they're from Wisconsin, right? The
Right,
Watt
from
family,
Pewaukee.
So, I mean, I'm not surprised that people are,
right.
would be homer. I mean, I love the idea of drafting T.J. Watt.
Like,
to be
sure,
honest, if the Bills did, I wouldn't be upset.
Good idea.
But
I don't know. Ryan, what did you think about the move? Did the Packers make the right decision? And I think the Steelers, in my opinion, got the better end of the deal in this one.
As a lot of Wisconsinites probably did, I saw that he was still on the board, and when the Packers were, on the clock, I was like, here we go, T.J. Watt, let's do it. And then Ted Thompson crushed everyone in Wisconsin.
Classic Ted.
Classic, of course. I mean, it's just what he does. Ted Thompson, man.
Ted Thompson.
Player, he's from Wisconsin. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry.
No, I was just going to say. Then they went out and drafted Vince Beagle a little bit later too. So, and then people were saying that they reached on him.
I mean, they may have reached on him a little bit, but I feel like it was kind of retribution for Packer fans to say, we didn't get you T.J. Watt, but we did get you Vince Beagle. But if you look at T.J. Watt, even if he was another player from Wisconsin with a different name other than Watt, I don't think that Packer fans would have cared as much. It's just that pedigree they wanted.
Well, why weren't Packer fans making more of a hullabaloo that we needed a running back? Why did we not go out and draft Corey Clement? Everyone was all freaking out. We need a running back. We need a running back. Well, yeah, go draft Corey Clement then and shut your mouth. People weren't freaking out about that.
Pewaukee guy gets to play for Wisconsin, gets to play for the Packers. Then I think it was a feel-good story that everyone wanted. But I think that the Packer fans should actually be really happy with their second-round pick in Kevin King.
Yeah.
I mean, he's exactly what the Packers needed. He's a needs guy, and he's a player that is an athletic freak who's long and rangy. So he might help a lot at the cornerback position, which they probably needed more than they needed T.J. Watt.
That's how I describe Tanner, long and rangy.
And hairy.
Yes, exactly. Josh on Facebook says, Bob Ross had great hands and ran a 4.540, scoring happy little touchdowns.
Love Bob
That needs to
Ross.
be a t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. I have one quick question here. Of course, it's a Bills question, but it would be stupid not to ask it. So the Bills draft Nathan Peterman out of Pittsburgh. Is this just another random, just a long string of events of quarterbacks of,
yes,
maybe he'll pan out, maybe
Yes.
not. We just didn't know who we wanted to draft and just took a chance on a guy.
Yeah, that's how I would describe it. He's a late round pick. Is he going to even get any looks, or are they pretty much sold on Tyrod Taylor as a question?
everybody's an option in Buffalo.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that they're going to stick it out with Tyrod Taylor apparently until the bitter end, which may be wasting some decent players that they have on their team. Because if you think about it, Tyrod Taylor's a guy that was brought in, and Rex Ryan saw promising. If Rex Ryan sees promising, was that really a good thing for you?
I don't know. I have no idea anymore.
Rex Ryan was the official reference we called to hire Tanner for Bruce Sports, and he was like, "You can't go wrong." He's a sure 100%. And here we are. So, take that for what you will.
If Taylor gets hurt, maybe they can throw him in there and they can see what they have. But he's definitely a long-term project. He's not going to solve any immediate needs for the Bills.
Yeah, you can't really argue with that. That's for sure.
No, I obviously I love Tyrod Taylor, and he's the best we got right now. But I was confused that they drafted a quarterback because they picked up the first-round pick from Kansas City by moving back in the draft. So I was like, next year's a strong class of quarterbacks. They got 2 first-round picks right now. Maybe they can make a move next year and get the guy that they want. But now we have Cardale Jones and Nathan Peterman, 2 guys we drafted in late rounds, back-to-back years, who are going to be on the roster somehow. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Green Bay does too this. They have 6 running backs on the roster currently going into the regular season, 3 rookies that they just drafted. But Mike McCarthy also came out this week saying that Ty Montgomery is the starting running back going into the regular season. I think it's a little foolish that you drafted 3 running backs then if you're so hell-bent on Ty Montgomery being your starting running back. Why not just draft 1 or 2? Yeah. Why'd you have to draft 3? And I find it funny, too, that the Packers every year, they're good for this, and our producer David can back me up on this. The Packers every year, they could have 25 wide receivers on the roster, and they still go out and draft at least 2. Every year. Why?
Because Ted Thompson.
If Trevor Davis didn't get any playing time last year, who was one of the better wide receivers we've drafted in a while, how are these 5th and 7th round guys going to get any playing time? That doesn't make any sense.
They're not.
Why waste a pick on them if you're not going to play them?
That's a great point.
You have to go through Jordy and then Randall and then Devontae and then, God forbid, Jeff Janis and Trevor Davis and numerous other people probably to get a start. And Geronimo Allison. There's 6 wide receivers, and they just drafted 2 more. And are probably going to sign another 3 or 4 in the offseason for free agents or through undrafted free agents.
Why not?
It doesn't make sense to me. You don't need to carry 12 wide receivers to just cut 8 of them. I don't know. I can't do math. Cut them all. I don't know.
Ryan,
it seems stupid to me.
Was there any particular team that surprised you in this draft, and was there anybody that you think disappointed?
There were 2 teams that surprised me just simply by how well they did in the draft, and the first one is the Cleveland Browns, because they stocked up on players, like you guys said earlier. Myles Garrett, first overall pick, then to get Jabril Peppers, and then the trades that they made to acquire 3 first-round picks was pretty impressive. And then the other one for me was rookie GM John Lynch in the San Francisco 49ers that just had a huge draft. They traded the Bears to get 3 additional picks to move down 1 spot and get Solomon Thomas, the guy they wanted anyway. And then use one of those picks to get Reuben Foster, the guy that they wanted second most out of anyone in the first round.
Did you hear that Reuben Foster hung up on the Saints when they called to draft him?
He hung up on the
Saints?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to San Francisco.
We're on to San Francisco. To hell with you, New Orleans.
Hung
up on him.
That has to be disappointing. That's a slap in the face when someone picks the 49ers over your team. I know there's some history there for the 49ers, but in their current state, choosing the 49ers over the Saints is bad news for the Saints.
Well, it makes sense why Solomon Thomas answered the phone for San Fran, though, because he went to Stanford, so he's already familiar with the area, so that makes a lot of sense that he's going to want to stay in that general vicinity. I wouldn't want to go to New Orleans either if I had just played 4 years and had an opportunity to play just down the road from me, personally.
Yeah, but
that's at least me personally.
Disappointing.
It is, I guess. New Orleans is such a moving and shaking place. They drafted Ryan Ramczyk from former Badger here, so for those that are hoopity about Ryan Ramczyk, good for you, I guess. But the fact that New Orleans still has a lot left to figure out, we've been back and forth with the whole Mark Ingram, Adrian Peterson thing. They have no one to throw the ball to still. Good luck. Good luck.
And that defense, too. That defense was horrendous against the pass last year. They didn't do enough to shore that up.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly, about that one. Did you have any other questions for Ryan?
Does San Francisco re-sign Colin Kaepernick? I mean, what are they doing down there? What are they going to do at quarterback?
That's a good question.
I have no idea what they're going to do. That was the one thing that surprised me is there were some teams out there that needed quarterbacks that didn't get them, and then teams that may or may not have needed quarterbacks that did reach out and get them. So, like the Chiefs taking Pat Mahomes, they didn't necessarily need a quarterback now, but they must see something they like in him. And then you have like the Browns and the 49ers that didn't do anything to address that need.
Right. I mean, the Browns ended up taking Deshaun Kaiser, which take that for what it's worth, I guess. I mean, we'll have to see where he
He's a
ends up falling.
project.
He is a project. It is. But I heard this morning on Mike and Mike that they actually kind of agreed with that pick because Hugh Jackson is a quarterback coach, and he's going to be able to work with Deshaun Kaiser to develop him. And I think, I mean, if you can justify that, saying we're going to back off a couple of rounds, take a guy that we know is proven but still has a lot to learn, and we can work with him, and we're okay with that, then I think you might see Deshaun Kaiser maybe not start the season. I think they maybe give Brock like a couple of snaps to start the first game and like, okay, you're just kidding, you are bad. Like, okay, Deshaun, get out there. But I think that Deshaun Kaiser is going to see probably 6 to 8 games this upcoming season minimum.
I think anything you do with the Cleveland Browns organization needs to be taken with a grain of salt. And
right, until they prove
otherwise. I need to see
otherwise.
it to believe it. So I totally ignored everything you said about the quarterback coach and all that. I mean, I've heard it a million times. You know, in Buffalo, we have had guys who are like, oh, we're going to build this guy, give him some time.
Sure.
And, until I see Deshaun Kaiser throwing bombs on the field, I'm just, I'm not going to believe it. So.
No, that's of course a great way to think about it, honestly. I mean, you need to be proven. I mean, that's the one thing that I'm always preaching is consistency, absolutely. So I need to see some consistency from Cleveland. They could go out and go 4-0 in the preseason, but that still doesn't prove anything. Show me. If you start the season 4-0 or 5-0, then we can have a conversation, Cleveland. I mean,
like the actual season, not
like
the preseason.
the regular season, not the preseason. Let's have a
right.
conversation once Cleveland wins more than one game this year, and then after that, we can try to put together what our actual judgment is of the Cleveland Browns going into the 2017 season.
Absolutely.
So, I'm excited to see what happens. It's great to see how many people get fired up about the draft as a whole too. So I'm looking forward to
now
it.
what? Couple months of
now we just got to hang out and wait for
monotony.
a couple of random deals and domestic
Still
violence
waiting to hear
cases
about Jamal
and
Charles
other stupid
domestic
things.
violence cases.
Like that's what the next couple of months are going to get filled with. Honestly, is
some
like
people are going to get caught smoking weed.
Yeah.
Someone's going to have a diluted sample, and someone's going to end up unfortunately.
Tim Tebow's going to be rumored to go back to like 12 teams.
Yeah,
and Johnny Manziel.
Colin Kaepernick will still not be a starting quarterback.
Did you hear that Jay Cutler wanted to play for the Texans, but they wouldn't return his phone calls?
Hey, Houston, it's me, Jay. Listen, I'm in Aruba, butt naked. Just wondering if you needed a quarterback still. I'm still down here.
Just hanging out.
Just hanging out. Letting it all hang out.
Call me. Okay, bye. Like, I don't know. Ryan, does Jay Cutler sign with the team before the preseason starts?
Yeah, maybe not before the preseason starts, but after somebody's going to get hurt and then be desperate and then give Jay Cutler a call, and then he can continue throwing interceptions for that team, and it'll just be good for everybody.
It reminds me of the Kyle Orton scenario when Kyle Orton so-and-so retired, and then 2 weeks into the preseason, the Bills are like, hey, you want to play? He's like, all right.
Here's $1 million.
Honey, I know I said I wanted to retire and be a dad, but the Bills are giving me $6 million to play in Buffalo, so... And then he's gonna slide before first down.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. All right, Ryan, we got to let you run, but where can people find you on social media and find your writing as well, too, sir?
They can follow me on Twitter at Ryan Solomon, and they can also check out the Brew Sports website to see some of my articles.
Hey, brewsportsnet.com. Thanks, Ryan. We'll talk to you soon, sir.
Thanks, guys. Good luck in your rehab.
Day to day right now. Day to day. We'll have to see. We need like a Brew Sports.
Yes.
Yeah. Tom wants to know where he keeps his phone if Jay Cutler is standing naked. Like
it's
in between the cheeks.
He's probably got one of these finagled watches.
Probably.
Wireless.
He did have a watch on in the picture, so maybe he did make the phone call.
Did he have a cigar in his mouth though?
We could not confirm such a thing.
Okay.
We only saw the.
So he's just naked Jay Cutler. He's not smoking naked Jay Cutler.
I don't know if he wants that kind of an image for the kids. Patrick says, good afternoon, by the way.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Tom also says, we're trying to give the key to the city to Peterman, smiley face.
Yeah, the key, you can pretty much get a key to the city of Buffalo.
Can I get a key?
You could probably apply, yeah.
Is there an application process?
You just got to call.
Do I just
Mayor,
is it kind of just like
Brown,
I like Buffalo? Like, is that for me?
Like,
for
we'll
working
give you the key to the city if you want
working
one.
at the Olive Garden?
He'd actually probably pay you to take it.
Probably.
So they probably paid T.O. to take it. So
T.O.
Oh, my gosh.
My lord. Is there anything else we need to hit on here fast? Because if not, we got to zip out and then come back for some off-the-rails duct tape edition.
The Buffalo Sabres and the Buffalo Bills are both without a general
10
manager.
days. In the course of 10 days.
Yeah. So how would you like to draft for an NFL team and knowing that you're going to get fired on Monday?
Did he know he was going to get fired?
Oh, he had to have. It's
Why?
been talked about for the last couple weeks.
What was so egregious that he got fired for?
Just
The lack of production?
yeah, lack of production and
I mean,
lack of communication. I think is a big thing.
that's the hard part. I feel like for teams like Buffalo and Cleveland and others that are already like cannon people left and right. When you take that job, like, do they honestly expect that you're going to turn the franchise around in like 2 years?
No.
But that's what they expect, though.
And he's been the general manager for about 5 years or so, and
So he's had time.
He's had time, and I think
5 years is respectable.
I think
can get on
after
board
a
with the
certain
firing
point,
of 5.
And for the Pagulas, the owners of the Sabres and the Bills and several other sports teams, they own the HL team, the Amherst, and
Right.
For them, communication's a big thing. I mean, you're owning multiple sports franchises, and of course, the Bills and
Do you
the
think
Sabres.
this is a Pagula problem instead of the actual organizations?
No, the Pagulas for sure. I mean, they've put money into so many different facets. They get the best of the best, and I mean, it was up to Doug Whaley to hire Rex Ryan, which didn't pan out. And I think that was a big thing as well.
True.
So I really do think that communication was where this lied, and during the draft, Doug Whaley's sitting in the back while Coach McDermott is making all the picks for him. So
True.
he knew he was going to get fired.
Good old Connor.
Yeah. So good stuff. Okay.
Gotta love it. I wanted to play start sit cut as well too. I've got 3 start sit cuts for you today.
You got 3 stars to cut for me?
I have three.
All right.
So one is NFL draft related. So you have to
Okay.
start sit cut Mitch Trubisky, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes on their current teams. I know we did this before the season,
Yeah.
before the draft, but now you've got Mitch Trubisky, the Bears quarterback, Deshaun Watson, the Texans quarterback, and for fun's sake, let's say Patrick Mahomes is starting for Kansas City. Who do you like out of those 3? So start sit cut in the situation, basically with who you think is going to win the most.
Probably start Deshaun Watson. I think he has the most potential to be successful right away. You said Trubisky.
Trubisky and Mahomes. Mahomes.
I'm going to sit Trubisky just because he's going to be the starter in Chicago, and we don't really know what we're going to get from him. It could be one of those situations where he gets started too soon and he's not ready, and then I'm going to have to cut Mahomes.
Interesting.
So
Mahomes. I'm waiting for people to have those shirts like Mahomes is my homie.
My homie.
I like that.
Sounds like Larry Drew with the Bucks. He was there to draft Jabari Parker and then got fired shortly after.
Sounds about right.
Happens.
All right, here's my next one. More of a drink kind of one.
Okay.
Bloody Mary, a good martini, or a really good draft beer.
Shaken, not stirred?
Yes. However you take your martinis. Dirty, sexy, grimy.
If I had the choice right now, I would say Bloody Mary. I could kill for a Bloody Mary right now.
Honestly.
So
start the Bloody Mary.
Start the Bloody Mary right now. I'm going to cut the martini because I just can't do that.
You got to be in the
today.
right mood.
Yeah, it's a Monday. I'm not ready for a martini.
It's not Martini
ask me
Monday.
again on Friday.
Maybe it could be Martini Mondays. That could be a segment.
Oh my God. I'll drink a martini while I'm painting my original Bob Ross. I found out how much the Bob Rosses are worth.
Please,
now, by the way.
how much?
I'm on this site, Original Art Broker, and there's a Bob Ross.
Sounds
It's
legit.
the best offer. It's called A Day in Alaska, and it's an oil on canvas, year 1981, and it's going for $10,000.
An original, like Bob Ross's hands graced
Original Bob Ross.
the canvas.
They're all going around $10,000. So pretty, good for you, Bob.
Way to be, Bob. You do you, Bobby.
You do you, Bob.
All right, last one. A recent history. You can pick all these players in their prime: Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo, and Ray Allen.
Oh, in their prime?
In their primes.
I've always liked Ray Allen,
I have too.
but I don't know if I think Paul Pierce is probably in his prime was probably a more valuable player. So I'm gonna start Paul Pierce, sit Ray Allen, and cut Rajon Rondo.
Oh, all right. All right. Some of those have been some good starts and cuts here today. If you have any thoughts or opinions about it, make sure to hit us up there in the comment section below. What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm just falling apart over here.
You know,
I might need to cut off both my
another
arms.
upper body injury.
Yeah,
Just amputate from the waist
It's gonna
up.
put my rehab back a couple weeks.
Push you back a couple of weeks. All right. Well, we're gonna go off the rails in just a moment. We're playing trivia, but we're punishment today has to do with duct tape on our hairy arms.
Sweet.
So we are going to get set up. We're going to jump off here, but we'll be right back. So make sure to hang out on Brew Sports. We'll be back on Facebook. We'll be back on YouTube. We'll be back on Spreaker as well, too. So hang tight. We'll be back in just a moment. This is halftime here on Brew Sports. We'll see you in a moment.